Hello, folks. We are doing showcase debates. This is a showcase debate to show what the students have done this week at the Lawrenceville camp. This showcase debate will be involving Logan, and it will also be involving Ethan. Ethan will be on the pro side, and Logan will be on the con side. Okay. Pro side will go first, and we will call out times, and we'll let you know what's going on. So first, I'd like to call Ethan up to start the debate.
Opponent ready?
Yes.
Judge ready?
Yes. Sorry. Now it's 2 minutes starting when you start.
All right. Since the dawn of man, humans have gazed up the stars. Now, after years of progress in astronomy and the sciences, we are closer than we have ever been to joining them in space. Hi, I'm Ethan, and I believe increased space travel does more good than harm. The space exploration is investigation by means of crewed or uncrewed spacecraft. The reason I believe that space travel is so beneficial is, one, advancements in space travel could lead to further exploitation of natural resources from space, as well as providing further commercial possibilities outside Earth's atmosphere. And finally, securing space is extremely important from a national security perspective. Going in more depth on number one, insufficiencies in natural resources is not uncommon on our planet. I am convinced that the natural resources found in space will not only fuel our economy, but also supply future colonies deeper in space. Resources such as minerals, gases, water, as well as substances to sustain human life can all be found in space. In addition, NASA reports that one of Saturn's moons, Titan, contains more hydrocarbons than Earth's oil and gas reserves, meaning we could supply the famously expensive rocket fuel required for space travel. All of this will bring new jobs and abolish the risk of polluting our planet if we move our emissions into space. Last but not least, securing space is extremely important from a national security perspective. If the United States wishes to remain a global power, it must assert its military and economic hegemony over the world. In order to do this, it must stay ahead of its rivals in terms of research as well as projecting its power. It's hard to understate the effect space has had on our science. Breakthroughs in prosthetics, firefighting equipment, GPS, solar power, as well as the iPhone, all came from space. The People's Republic of China plans to go to space by 2033. If they are able to do this before the United States, it would be a humiliation for NASA.
Time. Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready?
Oh, we're in process.
Yes. Cross-examination will start 2
minutes on your first.
2 minutes on your first one.
So for your first reason, you talked about colonization to find natural resources. Correct?
Yep.
So how are we going to get these materials and resources?
Well, as I said, resources can be found on asteroids. Resources like minerals and gases can be found in asteroids. The source I used said that water can be found on the moon.
What is this water useful for humans?
Well, it would be a lot easier to ship water from the moon than it would be to ship it from Earth. As well, key components in water and ice found on the moon can also be used from the moon.
And what is the time frame for getting these materials?
Well, I'm not here to give a direct time frame, but I do believe that
You also talked about this getting more jobs, this making more jobs. So what kind of jobs would it be creating?
it would not only increase jobs in STEM directly at NASA, but it would also increase commercial jobs like building the spacecraft assembly, the resources required, crafting the fuel necessary, and also jobs that come from the research that we discover in space and more efficient ways to use the workplace to build, construct more things.
And how much do you think the budget for NASA should be increased?
I'm not here to give a direct amount of money, like a certain amount of money. All I'm trying to argue is that the more money we put in, the more we're going to get out of NASA.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Ready, Logan?
Yeah.
All right, so 2-minute opening speech. Time will start when you start speaking.
Opponent ready?
Yeah.
Judge ready?
Yes, sir.
So did you know that many civilizations collapse after about 500 years? Well, ours is headed in that direction. If we don't focus our time and resources on fixing Earth's problems, we may only live a few more decades. Hi, I'm Logan Peck, and I disagree with the idea that increased space exploration does more good than harm. Space exploration is defined by searching for inhabitable planets for human life, learning beneficial info for humans, and improving our understanding of science. I have 2 reasons for this. My first reason is that relations between countries can be severed through more competition. And my second reason is that the cost of exploration can be too much to pay for itself. It's better spent on the problems of the present world. So for my first reason, relationships between countries can be severed due to more competition. China, US, and Russia all compete for better military, and advancements in space technology and information foster the need for countries to control space. At the moment, increased space exploration will degrade relationships. They're already tense. Now that private organizations like SpaceX and Virgin Galactic are expanding, it puts Russia and China even more on edge, gives them more drive to explore. My second reason is that the cost of exploration can be too much to pay for itself. It's better spent on the problems of the present world. Billions of dollars are spent to explore, yet we achieve very little for it to pay for itself. NASA states that the Voyager missions in 1977 cost $865 million, which is $4 billion today. They did not directly affect human life. Billions of dollars could be better spent to fix problems like hunger, poverty, and deforestation to preserve the planet. The Planetary Society states that roughly $20 billion are spent on NASA space exploration every year. And according to the International Institute for Sustainable Development, it costs half as much each year to end world hunger. To sum up, I'm against the idea that increased space exploration does more good than harm. Taking care of our planet instead of exploring space is the best way to keep our civilization alive. Thank you.
30 seconds, please.
You got it. You got it?
Yeah. Half 30.
In your second reason, you talk about how NASA does not turn a profit. Are you aware that this is not true? And NASA receives $22 billion, but produces $64 billion.
Is there a question?
Yeah, that was the question. Are you aware?
No.
Okay. Moving on, you talk about the relationships that are being degraded from space travel. Are you aware that our rivals are already moving to space prior to any U.S. Space exploration?
Yeah, the big 3 countries like US, Russia, and China are all have their sights set on exploring space and are already proceeding to do it.
Do you think that we should compete or just with the other nations, or you just mean that we should just just sit and wait as the rivals do it, not this?
Well, I don't think we should be sending all those rockets up because it could just make our economy worse by making relationships worse with those countries.
So we shouldn't participate in the space-based economy, is what you're saying. We should just let them go to space without us.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
All right, okay. That's enough.
Okay.
Yeah, like a minute.
You got 30 seconds.
Oh, wait, we have.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take.
Okay.
All right.
And that's fine. 1 minute and 30.
Yep, 1 minute 30 rebuttal, okay?
Okay. My opponent mentions the risk of degrading our relations with foreign powers. He ignores years of Porcino and Russo-US relations, unrelated to space. It seems, as I said in my third reason, the PRC is going to space unprovoked by the US. Russia leaves specifically the ISS instead of any other diplomatic organization with the United States. The way this for me shows that Russia is mobilizing against us and has been carefully planning an excuse to leave the ISS for a while now. We either try and compete with our rivals or sit and wait as our rivals slowly militarize space and leave us behind, making it almost impossible for the US to take advantage of the natural resources as well as technological advancements found in space, driving us to irrelevance. My opponent briefly has a reason about the expenses of space travel and his second reason. However, NASA provides over 3,000 jobs and generates more than $64.3 billion in total economic output, making them cost effective. Jobs and economic generation will only increase, as I said in my first reason. With increased funding, we can employ the masses with more effective equipment for the workplace. Educated and uneducated can find commercial and industrial jobs in my new world. The unemployed will become employed with jobs that enable further travel and advancements other jobs do not offer. Thank you.
Okay. Clerk Logan.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
Opponent ready?
Yep.
Judge ready?
Yes, minute 30 will start when you start.
So in my opponent's first reason, he states that we use colonization to find natural resources in space. But at the moment, the need for natural resources is a long-term problem. My second reason states that many of the problems of the present world need to be addressed now, or our planet may only last a few more decades. It is wise to spend money on the problems of today instead of the problems of the future. And for my opponent's second reason, he states that space exploration, we need the national security with space exploration. And that we need to get ahead of our rivals. But getting ahead of our rivals will only put them on edge even more and give them more drive to explore space. This goes with my first reason, because if we keep militarizing space and sending more things like rockets and satellites into space, then it will only degrade our relations with Russia and China. In time, the militarization of space can increase the chances of war. Thank you.
On it ready?
Yes.
Judge ready?
Yes, 1 minute closing. Start when you start.
What do you think man did when he first gazed at the stars? Did he hide in fear, or did he start working on how he was going to get up there? There is no second thought in my mind nor hesitation in my body when I say that space exploration is more beneficial than negative. It comes down to this, Judge, is if we can go with my opponent's world, where we clutch so hard to our artificial currency that we forget years of work by our ancestors leading us to this one goal. We hide in fear, and in doing so, never accomplish anything more than we already have. Space will be militarized by our rivals, with or without us. leaving us in the dust, inconsequential, like many other non-colonial nations of old. Judges, my world isn't perfect. I never claim it to be. All I know is that if you want to grasp greatness, you first have to reach out a hand. That's the end.
Logan?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Opponent ready?
Yep.
Judge ready?
Yes, sir. 1 minute closing. Start when you start speaking.
So at the moment, many of the problems on our planet are much more pressing and important than anything we could possibly find or need to find using space exploration. To me, this argument comes down to the fact that we don't need increased space exploration. The money and resources that are being put in the space program right now are sufficient because NASA has been able to create new technology and explore space without the need for additional funds and resources. Resources that could be better spent on solving poverty, world hunger, climate change, disease prevention, social inequality, and more here on this planet. Not increasing space exploration prevents severed relations between countries, is better for our planet, and most importantly, since the most appealing resource for companies and governments is profit, it's more economically attractive. Focusing on these reasons can be the difference between having our civilization survive a few decades and having our civilization survive many centuries more on our beloved planet Earth. Thank you.
All right, wrap it up. All right, Logan, come on up. Come on up. With a little elbow situation, a little elbow. Bam, there you go. All right, good job, guys. That was Logan and Ethan. All right, hope you enjoyed the showcase debate. Hi, welcome to the showcase debates. What we're going to be doing right now is we're going to be highlighting what the students have learned throughout the week here at the Lawrenceville camp. I'm Coach Chuck, and I'm going to invite up the next two students that are going to be debating. One will be on the pro side, one will be on the con side. The debates are going to be a little bit smaller for time purposes, but essentially what the format is the format we've been using. Okay, so who I'd like to call up right now would be, I'd like to call up Angela and Rick. Angela will be on the pro side and Rick will be on the con side. Okay, so Angela will be up first. Angela, come on up.
Opponent ready?
Yeah.
Judge ready?
Yes. As soon as we'll start, would you start speaking?
According to the Pew Research Center, 72% of Americans believe that it is essential for the U.S. to continue to be a world leader in space exploration. Hi, my name is Angela, and I strongly agree that increased space exploration does more good than harm. I have two reasons why I think space exploration is the investigation by means of crewed and uncrewed spacecraft of the universe beyond Earth's atmosphere. I have two reasons why increased space exploration does more good than harm. First, space exploration creates new job opportunities. Second, scientific discoveries improve our quality of life. Going back to my first reason, space exploration creates new job opportunities, which leads to further economic growth. This is especially important during the pandemic since many Americans are out of work. According to a 2019 NASA report, the organization generated over $64.3 billion in total economic output, supported over 312,000 jobs worldwide, and generated over $7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes throughout the U.S. My second reason is that scientific discoveries improve our quality of life. Many significant inventions are byproducts that were originally created for space exploration. According to the BBVA Foundation, an international research program, medical technology has roots in the space program. The algorithms that we use to create images of the body's internal organs originated from a process that NASA developed in order to enhance pictures of the moon's surface. Without NASA's contribution, the equipment would not be able to block out bone and enhance soft tissue in images. Additionally, the electronic shopping system used for purchases and credit transfers originated with the Apollo program. The review checkout procedures were used by the Aerospace Corporation to confirm that space vehicles and rockets were ready for flight. This automatic system makes it possible to control long-distance financial purchases, which makes store-to-bank transfers much easier. For these reasons, I strongly agree that increased space exploration does more good than harm.
Can I have 15 seconds?
15 seconds of prep. You sure can.
That's 15.
This would be cross-examination. Cross-examination, 2 minutes. We'll start when you start speaking.
In your first reason, you talked about how space exploration could lead to new jobs. Wouldn't increased money in any department like healthcare also bring new jobs and more money?
Yes, it would.
Okay, thank you. And for my second, in your second reason, talk about how discoveries from space exploration could lead to quality of life improvements. Why do we need to increase funding for space exploration just to get new inventions for the past 40 years?
If we increase space exploration, we could get even more inventions, which could further improve our quality of life.
Why should we prioritize quality of life other than over other things like saving our planet, like climate change?
Well, NASA could also invent things that could save our planet too.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next we have the con opening. Rick, you'll have 2 minutes.
And upon ready.
Yes.
Judge ready?
Yes, 2 minutes. We'll start when you start speaking.
In a 2019 Pew Research study, 63% of respondents said that monitoring key parts of Earth's climate should be at NASA's top priority. Sending astronauts to the moon was at their lowest priority. In this case, the public is right. Hi, my name is Rick, and I believe that space exploration does more harm than good. Increased space exploration does more harm than good. Space exploration includes crewed and uncrewed spacecraft, space tourism, and space travel. I have 2 reasons why I think this. The first reason is that space exploration is extremely taxing on the federal budget. My second reason that resources from space exploration could be used on solving climate change. Space exploration is extremely taxing on the federal budget because space launches are just too expensive. NASA says sending astronauts to the ISS on a Russian Soyuz rocket costs $81 million per astronaut. Before the space shuttle program ended in 2011, $450 million was the cost for every mission launch. $23.3 billion were sent to NASA in 2021 federal budget. This has no direct impact on the people, and increasing space exploration just increase this total even further. On the other hand, something like healthcare has a direct impact on the people, as shown through the COVID-19 pandemic, or saved millions of lives. My second reason is that effort and resources from space exploration could be used and shifted to solve climate change. In 2018, the NAS Technical Survey for Earth Sciences said NASA should prioritize our planet's climate and ecosystem. This is important because we will reach the threshold for dangerous warming between 2027 and 2042. This is only a few decades, and it's not much time. So instead of putting our resources into space exploration even more, we should shift shift any extra resources we have, and shift more resources towards solving climate change and saving our planet. For these reasons, I believe that space exploration does more harm than good.
Good. Okay. Oh, she's ready to go. All right. Okay, 2-minute cross-examination will start as soon as you start speaking.
In the first reason, you mentioned that it was very expensive and taxing on the federal budget. Are you aware of the government's budget for NASA?
Yes, I am aware.
How much is it?
Well, for just in 2021, it was $23.3 billion, which is actually a lot of money just for NASA. And the thing is, increasing this would increase the budget.
Are you aware of the government's budget for the military?
Yes, I'm aware that the government has a budget.
How much is it?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's $598.49 billion.
Yes, I know that now.
In your first reason, you also mentioned that it has no direct impact on the people. But wouldn't you agree that long-term investments also have many benefits?
Well, the thing about the current state of the world is that we can't put our resources in the long-term thing. We have to put our problems back on Earth because the problems that are facing us are just so timely. It's only a few decades. We can't think like more than that ahead because we have to solve those problems right now.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Okay. For rebuttal, how much time would you like?
My opponent mentioned that in his first reason that space exploration is expensive. However, like I said in my first reason, it also creates many job opportunities, which leads to further economic growth for our nation. Not only does it create scientific research jobs, it also creates media, communications, and manufacturing jobs, such as photographers, technical writers, and producers. In 2019, NASA supported over 312,000 jobs and generated over $64.3 billion in total economic output. In my opponent's second reason, he mentioned that we could use the natural resources to tackle, we could use the space exploration resources to tackle climate change. However, if we increase space exploration, the inventions and discoveries would also increase. In the future, NASA might even be able to create something to tackle climate change.
Point ready?
Yeah.
Judge ready?
Yes, sir. I will start when you start speaking.
In my opponent's first reason, she talks about how space exploration leads to new jobs and more money. When I asked in prospects about how any increased money in any department could lead to increased money in increased jobs, she said yes. And this is what these new jobs are not just specific to NASA. These new jobs, for example, come from healthcare as well, when it generates trillions of dollars every single year. And my opponent doesn't mention how these new jobs affect the normal people of every day, how like struggling people struggling to get food on the table, how those NASA jobs affect them. My opponent's second reason is that discoveries from space exploration could lead to improved quality of life. How is quality of life going to save our planet? How is quality of life going to do any of that? There's no guarantee that NASA is going to make also there's no guarantee that NASA is going to make a discovery that's going to solve climate change. That's just a hope that we have if we ever do increase money for space exploration or getting in more inventions. For these reasons, my opponent's case is less relevant.
Okay.
All right, closing.
Closing.
Opponent ready?
Yeah.
Judge ready?
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute
Judges?
starts when you start speaking.
Judges, my whole case boils down to this. Increased space exploration opens new opportunities. Space exploration creates employment opportunities for Americans who have lost their jobs because of the pandemic, and also creates opportunities for retrieving natural resources from space. Additionally, space exploration opens opportunities for scientific discoveries and gaining more information about space. NASA's past contributions in medical technology has greatly advanced our progress in the medical field. Who knows how many lives have been saved because of these inventions? In my opponent's world, we would stay safely on Earth without worrying about the environmental impacts and costs that comes with exploring space. But we also wouldn't be making any progress. We would remain consistent, unchanged. But in my world, we will keep pushing forward. We will surpass the limits and continue progressing. If we continue in this direction and increase space exploration, we will benefit significantly. Judges, for these reasons, I urge you to vote pro. Thank you.
Sure.
Colin ready?
Yeah.
Judge ready?
Yes.
I believe that space exploration does more harm than good because space exploration is too taxing on the federal budget, and we could spend our resources on solving climate change rather than space exploration. The case comes down to this, Judge. In my opponent's world, the government spends too much time, too much effort and money on going to space and space exploration while ignoring the problems here on Earth. My impact is simply way more than her impact. The planet is at stake when it comes to climate change. We only have a few decades left. We need to focus our resources on solving the problems here rather than going to space, because that is unnecessary. Is wishful thinking worth more than saving the planet? Vote comment.
All right. Pop it up. Come on up. Come on up, Rick. Come on up, Angela. Do a little, do a little elbow in the camera. Bam. Very nice. All right. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed the showcase debate between Angela and Rick. Does anybody need to use the loo? You got to use the loo? Good. So it's Sylvie and Sean, right? Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Sylvania?
Yes.
Are you ready, Sean? Whenever you're, well, I'm gonna wait till they come back from the loo. You gotta go to the loo? There's two more, right? These two and then the last two, and then we're done.
Yeah.
I know. We're good.
Really quick.
Well-oiled machine, McCarthy, lab. Special guest.
Wonder how it's going across the hallway.
You can probably,
I can imagine.
I can imagine. That's why you're happy you're sitting.
That's fine.
I need my glasses because I can't see what's going on here. Wear glasses?
I wear contacts.
I can't do that. I can't put anything near my eye.
See, I just look. So I got glasses late, and I didn't like how I looked at glasses, so I've only ever worn contacts.
There you go. I got glasses when I was in college. All right. You want to start? Sean, you ready? You ready there, Sylvania? All right. So I got to do my whole hoo-ha thing. Stay right there. I'm trying to make it sure. I don't want them coming in the. No matter if they come in the room when we're going.
I don't.
I know you don't care. I know I don't care.
Parents will be that affected.
All right, so here we go. You ready? Start. Welcome to Showcase Debates for the McCarthy Lab from Lawrenceville School 2021. Parents, we are showing you come on in, girls. Parents, we're showing you the work or the product of all the work, rather, that the children have done this week. And we're doing them for the students in here. The next debate we are doing is next showcase debate is pro versus the con. And on the pro side is Sean, and on the con side is Sylvania. Okay, so we will start, and the format we're using is the format that the students used for the tournament in a week. It's just a little short. So I can bring up Sean to start the debate.
Ready?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, sir. I have 2 minutes to start. You start talking.
Here is a quote from Jeff Bezos, former CEO of Amazon. What is the best plan in our solar system to go to space to save Earth? Now space exploration will lose out on many of the services we have now, such as GPS. Space exploration is defined as the use of astronomy and space technology to explore outer space. Hi, I'm Sean, and I strongly agree with the statement that increased space exploration does more good than harm. I have two reasons. First, space exploration protects the planet and environment, and second, it creates more job opportunities. The first reason is it protects the planet and environment. Satellites that are orbiting our Earth are able to detect climate change, and the data from these observations can be used to invent solutions, and the solutions will allow our environment to become better adapted to the growing and devastating effects of climate change. The early 1980s, scientists noticed that the ozone layer was thinning. This discovery led to the Montreal Protocol, which agreed between multiple countries aims to protect the ozone layer while combating climate change. My second reason is more jobs are created. According to commercial spaceflight federations, a minimum of 11,800 jobs will be created in 5 years, with a peak of 14,200 jobs. The jobs include technicians, scientists, and engineers, among many others. These jobs greatly benefit individuals who are interested in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Without space exploration, there will be a significant increase in the amount of jobs available, which can eventually lead to a poor economy. As shown, space exploration does increase space exploration does more good than harm because it protects the planet and environment and creates many job opportunities. Without space exploration, we would lose out on many of the good services we have now, which can make life more difficult. Thank you.
Okay. Cross-examination, we'll start now. Sylvia, you ready?
Yeah.
The cross-examination, we will ask questions, 2 minutes. We'll start when you start speaking.
You said space exploration benefits the environment, correct?
Yeah.
And in what ways does space exploration do this?
Well, like I said, like the satellites can detect changes of climate change, which
Thank
is
you. Satellites detect climate change, but how do satellites help resolve and help improve climate change?
they don't directly help, but they provide useful data for humans and humans in their solutions.
Thank you. And with NASA plans, you said, and with space exploration, in what time frame can we help resolve climate change using this? For example, satellites.
There isn't a set time frame because it just depends on how long it takes humans to develop solutions.
Okay. So you said that 14,000 jobs are created by NASA, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think that the same number of jobs or even more will be created with different environmental organizations, especially with future plans with the president?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think different environmental groups, organizations will provide the same number of jobs as NASA?
Well, I believe that they definitely will provide some jobs, but it won't be as much as NASA.
Thank you. Do you think space exploration benefits humanity?
Yeah.
How does NASA and different space agencies benefit humanity?
Well, NASA, like I said, creates lots of jobs for people who are looking to for into space exploration or just want to start start a job, new job.
Thank you. And you mentioned the ISS. So is that the organization and collaboration of 17 countries?
Yes.
Is China, the US's biggest threat, included in the ISS?
China is not included.
Does China?
That's time. So this will be the opening speech for the con. You have 2 minutes, Sylvie.
Opponent ready?
Yeah.
Judge ready?
Yes.
Look, I love ET as much as the next person, but while Elon Musk was launching another Mars shuttle, 31 million people could have been fed that day. And while the US spent millions creating a ballpoint pen that could work in space, Russia used pencils. Hi, my name is Sylvania Pang, and I strongly disagree that increased space exploration does more good than harm. Space exploration is the exploration of space using both uncrewed and man-boarded spacecraft to expand knowledge beyond Earth. I have 3 reasons. Number 1, the unreasonable high cost. Number 2, the unavoidable hit to the environment. And number 3, increased international tensions and relations. Going back to my first point, the US is the richest country in the world, but even within that, there are issues as well. In 2020 alone, 50 million Americans experienced food insecurity. And if you want to look at the bigger picture, over 700 million people experience food insecurity. This is over 9% of the entire world population. And yes, advancement of sciences and technology is important, but failure is common. The satellites, probes, space shuttles fall time and time again, ineffective for further use. When eating 3 meals a day is a privilege, don't you think there are other priorities out there? It's not just the cost that space exploration overshadows Earth. The biggest space agencies advertise colonization on Mars and other planets as a last hope and of abandoning Earth. But this is such a risky, unstable path, and no realistic plans have been released by NASA or SpaceX to ever make this possible in the near future, or even in 20, 30 years. My second reason is the heavy environmental impact. Space shuttles leave a substantial amount of carbon emissions, and many may bring up airports that produce 19,000 tons of carbon emissions a month. But this is because of the infrequency of space launches. As NASA and SpaceX expand, as they said themselves, this won't be the case for much longer. And my third reason, international tensions and the increased intensity of them. Russia is starting to leave the ISS, and while they were peaceful for 20 years, they are starting to leave right now. To wrap up, for these reasons, extreme costs, environmental impact, and increased international tensions are why I think space exploration does not do more good than harm. Thank you.
Cross-sects, would you like any prep? Cross-examination will start when you start speaking.
So in your first reason, you mentioned the high cost of space exploration. Is it true that some of the money devoted towards space exploration is also used to help solve environmental issues?
Yes.
Okay. And in your second reason, you mentioned environmental problems. But is it fair to say that most carbon released from launches has negligible impacts on our environment?
No, that's not the current case, but as I said in my points, NASA and SpaceX have said themselves that they're looking to expand, and that won't be the case for the future, which we're looking towards.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is the carbon, or just like any fuel that's released in the atmosphere, doesn't necessarily impact the environment in a negative way.
Like I said earlier, that is not the current case, but if we look towards the future with NASA and SpaceX, that will.
And can you guarantee? And you mentioned that you want to allocate some of the money for improving like the lives of poorer people. That's correct.
Yes.
So my question is, how can you guarantee that the money you're using to help these people will be used effectively?
There is no guarantee, but in order to make this change, there still needs to be effort put into it. And if we don't even try, then money and time, attention, and spotlight will never be put on issues like poorer
All right, thank
areas.
And those are the questions.
Thank you.
Sean Willow. 30 seconds, yeah. Rebuttal to the con, minute, 30 seconds will start when you start speaking.
In her first reason, my employer mentioned the extreme cost of space exploration. Well, she is partially correct. The money is worth it because of the many benefits that come along, such as improved healthcare and GPS. These benefits not only improve the lives of astronauts, but also of the general public. In her second reason, she also mentioned that space exploration has detrimental effects on the environment. But she fails to recognize the fact that most of the space launches occur in rural areas where there are few inhabitants, so humans are not really affected. And also, the carbon or any fuel that's released from launches has negligible impacts on the environment, which means that the environment is not negatively harmed from launches in any way. And in her third reason, she mentioned the tensions increase, but she never actually explained how that is true. And for these reasons, I believe that her case is less valid than mine. Thank you.
Sylvia, prep?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right, we go to pro, minute and a half, time starts when you start speaking.
Am I ready?
Yeah.
Judge, ready?
Yes.
In my opponent's first reason, he mentions that space exploration helps protect the environment. The satellites only detect climate change, so they do not do anything to actually resolve or help climate change. My opponent also fails to mention any other examples or solutions that space exploration helps the environment. And he also mentions that these launches, the carbon emissions released from space shuttles, in my point, they happen in rural areas. But in rural areas, I assume most people know air travels. It goes into the atmosphere and it reaches farther places, even if that is not where the space shuttle is launched. In my opponent's second reason, he mentioned jobs and how space exploration helps the economy. My argument is not saying to stop funding for space exploration. It is talking about stopping increased funding. The jobs will still be there for people, as well as other jobs created by environmental organizations, groups, and other opportunities. In my opponent's third reason, he mentioned how space exploration helps foreign relations and how they exchange information. An example of this is the ISS. But China, amongst other countries, China's allies, are not included in the ISS. And Russia, who was once the US's biggest partner, is now threatening to leave due to restrictions. China has never made any move to partnership and cooperate with the US, and they are their biggest threat. My opponent mentions how they should work together because they're working towards a common goal. However, this is not true. Thank you.
Prep?
Oh,
Superstars. Superstar.
They've been doing it for
Yeah,
years.
yeah. You haven't heard them. All right, closing, 1 minute closing. We'll start, Sean, as soon as you start speaking.
Here's a comparison between my opponent's world and my world. In my opponent's world, there will be poor environments because our planet is not actively monitored by satellites. There will also be a poor economy as a result of the significant decrease in available jobs. On the other hand, in my world, there will be cleaner and safer environments. There will also be a strong economy with stable jobs, which is also very important. So judges, I urge you to vote pro because space exploration protects our planet and environment, creates many job opportunities for different kinds of people, and yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Okay,
There you go.
so,
Ready?
yeah, he's ready.
Okay.
1 minute will, yes, 1 minute will start when you start.
Here, my opponent made some valid points. Even so, their outlook is flawed. Where do your priorities lie? Children are being forced into labor from early ages. And standing from a privileged, fortunate stance is easy to ignore, brush off, and hard to imagine. Kids no older than 12 begging on the streets, trafficked sexually and physically, just to help their families get by, the bare minimum, instead of going to school. Too many parents cannot afford to put meals on the table. And my opponent brings up quality of life. Quality of life for who? Invisalign, Nike Air sneakers, boots. I doubt families struggling to eat proper meals will worry about planning their next ski trip. Blaming NASA is not my aim. The point is, there are so many problems in our world. So much wrong with Earth today. Whether that lies in global climate change, refugees, food insecurity. Judges, let me ask you this again. What do you value? What are your priorities? For these reasons, I urge you to vote con. Thank you.
All right, clap it up. Julie and Sean, come on up. Keep clapping, one by one, clapping. Everyone, have those situations. Stop blinding them, write them down. All right. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did hearing it. And thank you very much. Potty time, or are we good? Do you have to go potty? Everybody else, you need to go potty. You can go potty whenever you want, brother, because you're not going right. Okay? You don't have to worry about it. What we got to do is we got to get this done. Call me. Call me. We've got to get this done, and we've got to send it to San Diego. They got to cut it up and get it to your parents. Well, as soon as we can get it to them, the better it is. It's 10 or 11 in San Diego. All right, so are we ready? Let's do this. You ready? All right, I don't think we need to, do we? Okay, all right, so ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, parents, and welcome to the showcase debates for the Lawrenceville School for the McCarthy Lab. My name is Coach Chuck, and here we are. We are going to have a showcase debate to show you all the hard work that your student has done all week, and also to show you how much they've grown since we first got them back on that Monday. All right, so today we have on the pro side, we have Taya on the pro side, and on the con side, we have Evelyn on it. Okay, so they are going to use the format that they've been using for the past week and a half. And also, we're just shortening it down a little for time constraints, okay? But I'm gonna get ready to start. So first speaker would be the pro speaker, and that pro speaker would be Taya. Come on up, Taya.
Opponent ready? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. 2 minutes will start. You start speaking.
In a quote by the European Space Agency, it is said that nearly all successful civilizations have been willing to explore. In exploring, the dangers of the surrounding environment can be identified and prepared for. Without knowledge, however, these dangers can cause harm. With knowledge, these dangerous consequences can be lessened. Hi, my name is Taya, and I strongly agree that space exploration does more good than harm. To be clearer, according to Britannica, space exploration is an investigation by crewed and uncrewed spacecraft of the universe outside of the Earth's atmosphere, including space travel and tourism. My 2 reasons are, number 1, space exploration benefits the next generation and inspires humanity as a whole. My second is that it promotes international collaboration and supports peaceful foreign policy. Starting with my first reason, space exploration benefits the next generation and inspires humanity. According to Statistica, about 76% of people ages 18 to 34 have been interested in space exploration. Who are we to take away the dreams of the next generation when they rightfully believe in the possibilities of space exploration? Additionally, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, around 17,000 workers are part of NASA as of 2016. This means that they provide job opportunities while allocating for students interested in STEM. My second reason is that it promotes collaboration and supports foreign policy. NASA has about 2,000 Space Act agreements, or SAAs. SAAs allow for collaboration with companies, universities, and other government agencies. Additionally, for foreign policy, as of 2020, NASA has about 700 international agreements with 2/3 of the world's countries. This shows that international cooperation in space is possible and is worth fighting for. For those reasons, please vote pro. Thank you. No, I can't.
Good. This is the cross-examination where the con gets to ask questions of the pro case. So just make sure you're in. Okay, 2 minutes will start when you start speaking.
Okay, in your second reason, you talked about improving foreign relations, and you talked about the peace agreements between our nations. Is there one between U.S. and China right now? The two biggest global powers? Or no? Okay, so wouldn't you argue that this is an extreme problem for the future if we don't have any peace agreements?
No, we cannot predict the future, and we do not know if there will be future agreements, and there is a big possibility.
Okay, recently Russia has pulled out of the ISS. This is another big, or threatened to pull out of the ISS. It's another big global power. What do you say this is increasing our international tension?
Well, the U.S. has sanctions on Russia, and these are important sanctions. There will always be these challenges in any situation.
Okay,
If they pass these challenges.
So are you disagreeing that there won't be a cyber war in space in the future?
There's no historical evidence.
Okay. By increasing space exploration, do you mean to increase the budget for space exploration?
I never specifically said in my case that I would increase it. I have no control over that, but I'm just saying in general, increased space exploration is.
Thank you. Do you think increasing space exploration will benefit humanity?
Yes.
Can you explain how?
Through the discoveries they make, it can provide for the entire world. It helps with climate change, and it creates inventions such as ventilators for COVID-19 recently, where they've saved many lives, and it's specifically just for COVID, so that people can thrive.
Thank you. So how is the research, the inventions created by NASA, how does this help people in poverty or
Well, they are providing with information, and what they're doing is creating jobs and raising wages, which allows people in poverty.
Would you agree that one of NASA's plans is to colonize other planets in the future, or fund exploration for space travel, which is including manned spacecraft?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Wouldn't you agree that increasing space exploration would increase the space junk we have in our atmosphere?
Yes.
Wouldn't this pose a danger in the future?
There will always be dangers and risks when we're taking a challenge, but we can't just stop just because there are challenges.
Thank you.
Okay. Ready? So this is the con opening speech. 2 minutes will start when you start speaking.
Opponent ready? Judge ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Mary Chakunda, a nun working in Zambia, Africa, wrote a letter to NASA in 1970. She recounted a heartbreaking experience of witnessing African children starving to death, born malnourished, with the curves of their bones and organs showing underneath their thin skin. The whole village fighting over a morsel of food. Mary asked in her letter to NASA, how can you justify spending billions of dollars on the Apollo program when children are starving to death? Why, with unsolved critical issues such as world hunger and poverty, must we allocate money in search of a world not certain to exist? Hi, my name is Evelyn, and I strongly disagree that increased space exploration is more good than harm. Space exploration is defined as the investigation beyond Earth's upper atmosphere by the means of manned and unmanned spacecraft. And I have 2 reasons today. My first reason is that space exploration is detrimental to the environment, and the second one is that space exploration is increasing our international tensions. To start, space exploration is terrible for our environment. NASA's Saturn V rocket alone uses 521,400 gallons of fuel per launch, 203,000 of which are liquid kerosene and oil derived from petroleum. To put this into comparison, the US EIA states that our global supply of biofuels can only support our demand for 30 more years, and climate change is becoming an extremely climate change and overpopulation is an extremely important issue. My second reason was that increased space exploration will increase our political tensions. The United States is a global leader, and recently we've created a branch of the military called the Space Force. Creating the Space Force was done suddenly and without careful consideration, which will only lead to a dangerous new arms race in the future. We've already seen the missile attacks from China in 2007, shattering one of our satellites, and the US then a few years later retaliating by sending our own satellites back. Even the US Secretary of Defense states that a cyber war in the future is a likely possibility. Judges, the trust between nations are breaking, and it's evident that our foreign tensions are only increasing through the years. For these reasons, I urge you to vote con. Thank you.
Okay, any prep?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. 2 minutes will start when you start speaking.
In your first reason, you said that climate change and overpopulation are a big problem. How do you plan to combat them?
Biden is actually focusing on world hunger and putting that one as his main priority in his upcoming presidential.
Okay, how will we combat this?
Well, he'll allocate money towards providing, he'll allocate money in terms of, for example, maybe charities that would help support one. But I don't know the exact way he'll do it, but I know that he is planning to do it. And that's important.
So how will he address climate change?
He's creating a new climate change plan that will support 10 million jobs and provide jobs for construction, infrastructure build, essential.
Thank you. Do you agree that Biden's plan also includes reaching net zero emissions by 2050?
Yeah.
Do you agree that NASA supplies all this technology?
Yeah.
Why?
Can you explain the technology? Can you explain technology? There's no technology that, or very little technology that NASA has created that is directly supporting Biden's new plan.
Do you have any proof of this?
Yes, because the jobs that he's created, such as infrastructure build, essential home care workers, wind turbine services, conservation scientists, environmental engineers, they don't necessarily need, or they don't need the technology that NASA's creating. And if the rare case that they do, it's in the past, we no longer need to increase.
Are you aware that NASA is creating fuel cells that for near zero emissions? That is part of Biden's plan, and it's also part of all of the electric cars that are going around and all of the other technology that America has currently.
That's not aware.
Okay. In your second reason, you said that space exploration causes tensions. Do you know how the Space Force was decided on?
Well, if we're creating a space force, that means there's tensions between other nations, and we need to protect against.
Do you have any proof of this?
Yes, Russia, Iran, India, China have all sent missiles into space militarily.
Thank you. What exactly is the Space Force?
It's to protect our important satellites in space from other nations.
Okay, thank you. That's all my question. Opponent ready?
Yes.
Judge ready?
Yes, time will start when you start speaking.
So for my opponent's first reason, she said that space exploration is bad for the environment. However, she did not exactly state exactly what the plan was to do after you take away the Space Force. Instead, she went into world hunger and how Biden is planning to go against that. However, as for the environment, NASA is what allows us to combat climate change. NASA supplies net zero emission technology, and NASA supplies information to give to Biden so that he can be able to formulate these plans to go against climate change, to plan for the future, such as future problems such as world hunger and other necessary problems like that. For her second reason, she said that there are increased international tensions. However, there's always going to be problems whenever we're trying to work internationally. We cannot just give up once there are tensions. We have to be able to work through these problems because these challenges will let us discover more and advance us as a society and be able to move together as an entire planet.
When you're ready? Yes. Judge, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
In my opponent's first reason, she stated that increased space exploration will allow for inspiring humanity and saying people are interested in pursuing space exploration. Now, I never stated that I wanted to defund space exploration. I always say that we shouldn't be increasing. These jobs will still be there, and it's not taking away these jobs. As I stated in my first reason, space exploration has extreme environmental trouble. As I also stated, biofuels will only be able to support us for 30 more years. We won't even be able to live so much longer, instead of worrying about the jobs that these people. And it terrifies me that terrifies me as it probably terrifies you. I'd say this is the opposite of inspiring humanity. These people will still have their jobs, so let's not increase space exploration's budget in the future, and instead focus on missions that provide direct relief to climate change. These inventions that she mentioned may be great, but there's no need to increase the funding for space exploration, which is what I'm arguing. For my opponent's second reason, she says that it supports foreign policy. However, this is completely untrue. She explains that cooperation between nations is happening, but she failed to give a reason or explain how this is actually happening, and she just leaves it hopeful and to the government that these nations will have peaceful relations in the future. But we've already seen this so many times in the past, and troubles between nations are always happening, and the troubles between US and China are the worst they've been in 40 years. It's way too hopeful to think these troubles would just disappear in the future. And as the Secretary of Defense has stated, a cyber war in the future is extremely possible and will create colossal damage to our important satellites. Thank you.
All right, clap it up.
Wait, we didn't finish the closing.
Oh, we're done?
Yeah, we haven't done closing yet.
Oh, that sounds good. We did a, I thought that was it. All right.
That was fun.
I'm getting a little punchy. Go ahead, kid.
Opponent ready?
Yes.
Yes, 1 minute.
Judge, it comes down to this. Increased space exploration is needed and essential for humanity. In my opponent's world, we will be chasing an impossible hope and cause without space exploration and will be heading towards failure. NASA's focus on climate change is not against it. They are aware of this problem. Biden's plan is only possible through space exploration and through NASA. They are creating eco-friendly technology and allowing tracking of the emissions, of the pollution, of everything that's going on Earth. What I say, I've never said that I plan to increase funding in my case. However, if we do increase funding, there's going to be more innovation, a better future, an increase in a better world. So, Judge, I would just like to read this. In a world where we do not even in my opponent's world, it's a world where we do not even try to take steps of advancement. And instead, we continue to try solutions without guarantee of success or benefit. How will our civilization advance if we do not explore and stay stagnant on our dying planet? Thank you.
Encore.
Opponent ready? Judge ready?
Ma'am.
Judges, it is now apparent that increased space exploration only does more harm than good. My argument boils down to the ineffectiveness of exploring space. Ineffective in the way it deals with the environment. Ineffective with the money spent and jobs created. And ineffective in curing poor intentions. My opponent said that colonization is an ideal for NASA in the future. But we know that from colonization, that will only create more trouble through our environment and through increasing poor intentions. And as we stay with poor intentions, she created a naive mindset saying that the tensions in the future won't occur, but they will occur in the future. Now, let me paint a picture of my world, a world where we stop increasing space exploration. We can instead focus on directly saving our environment, directly ensuring fuel and resources are only used for the most important of missions, directly ensuring that space doesn't become a huge jumble of objects where exploring space becomes too much of a complexity to work at all. Focusing on climate change and allotting money to those who don't know where their next meal is coming from must be at the top of our priority list. These millions of people in poverty-stricken countries care about living until the next day, not about far-fetched wonder of living in another planet. For these reasons, I urge you to vote con. Thank you.
Now we clap. Come on up. Elbows. Elbow in the camera. Nice job. All right, good job, girls. Thank you for watching the showcase debate. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did presenting it to you. Have a great day.